Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whenever the fuck you're watching this episode. It's another episode of Backyard Blitz brought to you by Backyard Sports Media. My man is 3 for 3 on podcast today. Gary Freeze, how are you doing today?
I'm just glad my voice hasn't disappeared yet, man. We've been running the marathon on the Backyard page today. Appreciate the viewers out there, man. We've had decent numbers both times. We ran tailgate super early today and had a few people dropping in to view, so really appreciate that. Off schedule, off platform throws when it comes to tailgate being at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But appreciate those out there supporting, and excited.
Random schedule.
Long day, man.
Salute to the regulars, dude. Senior,
sure,
SJ,
man.
You know who you are.
For sure.
Appreciate you guys. Be sure to check out the other shows, man. Got to be in touch with the Backyard Buckets. You got to be in Tailgate Trash Talk. College football playoffs right now is wild.
Yeah, buddy.
I love this new playoff setup for the college football playoffs. Sure, there's complaints, there's feedback, but more games, more football, better opportunities for the right teams to get into the final game. Cannot beat that. Be sure to tune in to Tailgate Trash Talk. And, of course, NBA in full effect. Backyard Buckets. Be sure to check out the boys. Get with Bentley, get with Gary. Let's talk about it. Appreciate all of you guys tuning into the Backyard Sports Media family of podcasts. And so, day after Christmas, here we are. I'm in beautiful state of Florida here for the holidays and get a chance to hop on the pod with the homie to talk about an insane week of football. We had some good highs, some good lows, and let's just dive right into it. Starting off, Andy made some strategic choices on islands this week, and one of them paid, but most of them didn't. This one is he took a chance on Denver. I wasn't necessarily upset at the pick, but me and Gary get the dub here, 34-27. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Senior. Yeah, listen, I just really refreshed. I'm going to take off the headset so I won't be able to hear you. I refreshed.
Looking fresh. I think you muted yourself when you took your headset off.
I just freshened up the sides, that's all. But yeah, the Moulet is still in full effect, boys. 365. Praise God.
Looking fresh. We're here to party.
But still, we're talking about a one-score point differential here for Denver. Any takeaways here for Denver and how they looked?
I think the big takeaway here is that Denver's not ready. It's been a great story. Bo Nix looks pretty good in this offense. I think they're going to be able to grow with Bo Nix. They're going to need to put more playmakers around him because when push came to shove and the Chargers started to run them down because the Broncos got out to an early lead in this game, Justin Herbert, the gap between what Justin Herbert is right now and what Bo Nix is right now was on full display in this game. Justin Herbert is special. He is on the short list of guys with the most pass yards in their first 100 starts. He's cruising toward a very productive, very prolific career. And I think now with Jim Harbaugh at the helm there in LA, whenever this thing falls off a cliff for Kansas City, if it ever does, look for the Chargers to be a team that's going to really step in and take the mantle there in the AFC West. But Denver, they've got a good young core. They've got to put some more weapons around Bo Nix on offense, though. So this was a good clash. Unfortunately for the Broncos, they're in a little bit of a tight spot right now, and we're going to talk about the Bengals here in a little bit, but this playoff race is not over for them, and they don't have an easy schedule down the stretch. We knew it going into this week with the Chargers. They've got to steal one of these three against three tough opponents. It might end up being that Week 18 game after we're going to talk about the Chiefs game here in a minute. They locked up the number 1 seed with their most recent victory, so the Broncos might get a little bit of a respite in Week 18 and be able to clinch a playoff spot, but the pucker factor is real right now for this Broncos team because the Bengals are coming.
The Bengals are coming. They're quietly getting better every single week. There's a few of these teams that are just working in the background to do things, right? And we'll talk about all these teams as we kind of progress through the week, but the Bengals, we'll get to them here a little bit later, quietly becoming a real problem. And then as we'll talk about later, the NFC South, that's another one that we need to be talking about soon here. So moving into some AFC action here, Andy gets the dub island, riding with the safe bet of KC I don't credit this as a gamble on an island because you and I took the gambles here. Okay, we took the gamble on Houston, but KC gets the dub 27-19.
I didn't think Mahomes would play. And I
Right.
said it on
Me
the
neither.
show. We talked about it last week. Like, if Mahomes is healthy enough to play, I'm probably going to get this one wrong. And lo and behold,
Andy even chalked this up to a loss, assuming that Mahomes wasn't going to play.
Right. So I think the biggest thing coming out of this, we talked about it a little bit before the show. Friendly fire, Tank Dell, one of the worst injuries you're going to see. I mean, a total shred of the knee, dislocated kneecap, his lower leg kind of popped out of the skin, and tore his ACL, MCL, PCL, I think LCL as well. I think he tore all four. He's in for a very, very long road of recovery. It's one of those ones, like we saw this with guys like Marshawn Lattimore, Willis McGahee had a real bad one. It's a long road to recovery, and sometimes you don't get back to 100%. Like Willis McGahee did, fortunately. Marshawn Lattimore did not. When Lattimore was in college, he was regarded as like maybe the next big time running back. When he got to the NFL, then he had that injury against Georgia, and everything went downhill from there. And he never got there. Hopefully, for Tank Dell's sake, that's not the case, because he's a budding young wide receiver, among the best in the NFL at creating separation. Quietly, one of the best receivers in the NFL at creating separation. So he's a reliable guy for that offense, and it's a very, very unfortunate circumstance. You could see the emotion from CJ Stroud. You could see the emotion from all of his teammates, and not to mention, like, this is 2 consecutive years for this young guy having devastating leg injuries, and he's in for another long year of rehab.
And with this significant of an injury, I mean, you're really kind of questioning when and if at all we see him in the 2025 season.
Well, it's late in the year, too. Like, we legitimately might not see him in 2025.
There's a solid chance we don't see Tank Dell until 2026, which is an absolute travesty. I hate that for the kid, young, blossoming. Want him to just heal up as quick as possible. And unfortunate kind of friendly fire a little bit there, too. And that's just, you hate to see it.
Brutal.
I don't give a shit if you're a fan or not. It's a tough go. Yeah, CJ was definitely shook, senior. Sorry, I guess I'm not showing that comment. Yeah, it was. CJ was shook. I've always appreciated that CJ's been the type of quarterback to not hesitate to wear his emotion on his sleeves. I think he kind of talked a little bit about that, and it's tough. I mean, you grow all kinds of this unheard of, incomparable camaraderie with your teammates, and to see them go down like that is just devastating. You're losing a family member when stuff like that happens, so that's tough.
Yep.
And so on to the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. So this one, I think we felt confident in our pick here with Baltimore. Obviously, with Pittsburgh is a bit of a disruptor, as we've known. Mike Tomlin has a nasty way of showing up at inopportune times for growing, blossoming teams looking to secure their division, and that wasn't the case here. Baltimore gets a dub, 34-17.
No, we're seeing 2 teams going in opposite directions right now. Baltimore is peaking at the end of the season. The offense is really exploding right now, and we're going to talk about a game that's already been played this week as well, for Week 17, but they're exploding offensively right now, and Pittsburgh is regressing. I know that there was a lot of talk about Russ and kind of being the savior for Pittsburgh. I think a lot of that was lost in the fact that, like, he kind of was just throwing a bunch of jump balls that were getting either PIs, or George Pickens was making crazy good catches. You can't live that way very well and thrive, and we're starting to see that. Russ, the pick he threw early in this game into triple coverage with no real pressure in the backfield, so, like, he wasn't forced into a bad I'm getting ahead of myself with the game against Kansas City, but also in this Baltimore game, he tried to run the ball in when he could have just slid, gotten the first down, and lived to fight another play, and then fumbles. And similar to the game earlier in the season with Baltimore, where Chase Brown had a fumble early in the game and it swung the momentum for Baltimore. Same thing here, and Baltimore really just never looked back after that. And Lamar had a big day. He continues to just chase records. We're going to talk about him in a moment, passing Michael Vick. So,
5 in a row for Baltimore?
I think it is 5 in a row. Yeah, they're peaking right now. Pittsburgh's lost 3 in a row. So it's really just two franchises going in opposite directions, and it might cost Pittsburgh the division.
Well, and we've talked about Russ kind of off and on this season, where he's had kind of these moments of what we knew him as, and then we're seeing a lot more of this kind of baby shit performance.
Yep.
And you can't continue to take these high risk, high reward plays and expect it to work every time. Listen, you have a generational talent at wide receiver. There's no doubt, but you can't count on that every time.
Yeah.
You just can't. And then throwing these emergency, just these wide receiver killer balls in the middle of your secondary. I mean, that's like his specialty. He's one of the biggest offenders. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and Pickens, for as talented as he is too, he's a fucking basket case. So I don't even know if you're going to be able to rely on him in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, 100%. He's a bit of a toxic personality. Looks like he can be. Buffalo, this was a lot closer than I think any of us expected. Obviously, we knew divisional rivals could bring up one thing or another. I'm sorry, the AC unit behind me just kicked on. If you can hear that.
Can't even hear it.
Great. So Buffalo kept this game way closer than we expected. I was showing concerns pretty early because I was a little late to the game, and I think I got on and was immediately like, Gary, what the fuck? So,
yeah. I think Josh answered the question for us after the game when he was talking about the fact that like their offense is going to be vanilla over these last few weeks. They're going to play and they're going to try to win the 1 seed. We know now after the game we're going to talk about in a moment that it's just not, they can't win the 1 seed. Now, they're not going to show their hand in these last few weeks. They're going to keep all the high speed, low drag plays in the tank for the playoffs. And it really showed in this game because the offense was kind of stuck in mud for a big portion of this game. And it felt like for a while that we were going to get one of those, like, well, Buffalo didn't take it seriously and New England got a divisional win. Buffalo pulls it out late. They're just the better team. And now we're going to see how they're going to handle the next 2 weeks, making sure Josh Allen's healthy for the postseason. He took a funny bone hit and his pinky kind of like went numb or kind of tingled on him in this game. So you really want to kind of try to keep him healthy. And make sure that you're ready for the postseason. Yeah, Russ is a little bit washed too. Physically, he just doesn't have what he used to have. You don't get the same kind of zip on the ball with that. So that's a good point about Pittsburgh as well, kind of struggling offensively. But Buffalo just went very vanilla. And New England for their record is not great, but this team fights. This team is scrappy. Drake May is good. If they can build around him, I think the ceiling is higher with Drake May than it is for Bo Nix. And I think New England, just don't fuck it up. I said it last week, like, just don't fuck it up. You've got a guy, and I think he can play. Just don't fuck it up.
Yeah, I mean, good conservative ball is gonna win out here. Especially against a team like New England. They don't have anything to prove to them. It's definitely the right thing to do in a situation like that. So, they just got to keep their head above water, I think, for the last couple games here, and then be good to go.
Stay healthy, get ready for the playoffs.
That's it. So this Atlanta game was something. Michael Penix looks great. He had a pick that wasn't really his fault at all. Bonehead move by Kyle Pitts. You catch the fucking ball. Nothing that I necessarily pin on him there. So, Kyle Pitts is dog shit. I'm sorry. It drives me crazy. It's another absolute travesty just for a completely different reason than Tank Dell. Like, this man is bombing purely on his own.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Michael Penix played a very, very good game. The only mistake he made all day was thinking that Kyle Pitts was a serviceable tight end in the NFL. That was 100% on Pitts. He dropped the ball twice and then tipped it in the same play, tipped it to a defender, basically hit him in the hands after the tip. So Kyle Pitts is a mess. The Giants are a fucking mess. The Falcons defense scored 2 touchdowns. I appreciate it for my fantasy teams this weekend. I had picked them up thinking that they were going to be all right against the Giants, and they were. But this was a game that the Falcons absolutely had to have. But I also think it was a nice kind of landing pad for starting Michael Penix because the Giants are just no good. Bijan Robinson had a big day, a couple touchdowns, nearly 100 yards. Defense played super, super well. and they just didn't ask Michael Penix to do a lot. And I hope they continue that going forward, because they have a lot of talent on that team. And if they have the leeway, the runway to kind of bring him along, as opposed to just throwing him into the fire like the Bears have done with Caleb Williams and figuring out whether he can swim or not. The Falcons, I think they did it right. We talked at the beginning of the season that we thought we'd see Penix. We thought we'd see it a little sooner, but they've done it right. Nice landing pad, nice easy win here, kind of a layup for a rookie in his first game. They don't play the Giants this week, so it does, they do move into a bit more of a competitive atmosphere this coming weekend, but they're in the thick of the NFC South. You mentioned it, the division race, the playoff race. They're chasing a wild card. It's a very tough NFC this year in terms of being able to get into the playoffs. 10 wins is not a guarantee that you're going to get in the playoffs this year, so they need every win they can get, and this was a big one against the Giants. Hey, Steve. Thanks for joining, bud.
Definitely. And, we'll probably talk a little bit more about the NFC South here, but as we get to the Tampa Bay game, but things are getting spicy in the NFC South. And with this Atlanta win, means huge numbers for the division. So definitely just got a lot tighter in that race there. So these last 2 weeks are absolutely critical going into the last couple games here. If you want a chance at the NFC South, Tampa Bay is now on their heels when just a couple weeks ago we felt like they were going to comfortably take it.
Yep.
Sure. Detroit, another victory round for us. Detroit 34-17. They continue to own Chicago now that Aaron Rodgers is on a hiatus from football, even though I don't know if he's aware this actually is a quarterback of a football team. Detroit, nice comfortable win here. What else do you say? Detroit's looking good.
Yeah, this was a nice bounce back for them. They, last couple of weeks the defense has been suspect. Big win over a divisional foe. The big takeaway from this is the stumble bum play. Like, who has more fun than Detroit when it comes to like calling plays? Maybe Kansas City. You can kind of give them a nod for some of the creativity they have, but faking like you fumbled the ball because you watched Jordan Love actually fumble the ball, recover it, and make a big completion. Like that's doing your job as a coach, but also having a ton of fucking fun. Jahmyr Gibbs just falling to the ground and Jared Goff fake stumbling and then turning around and throwing a touchdown to Laporta. That's some chef's kiss type shit. So they're having fun, man. I hope as we progress here in the last few weeks before they get to their first round or second round game, if they are able to secure the division in a bye, that they're going to be able to get healthy on defense, because I do fear, unfortunately for, my friends like Maddie and Andy, especially, that Detroit may not be able to survive a playoff run if the defense remains the way they are, because you can only survive so many injuries. So hopefully they get some guys coming back here and the defense starts to look a little more like it was early in the season.
Yeah, they've got to be able to hold on just long enough. We talked about it a little bit more in depth when Andy was on the show. I want them for them to succeed and to get that shot at the conference championship. And I think at this point, minus the injuries, they should be the clear-cut victor, in the NFC at least.
Yeah.
We should be seeing them in Buffalo in the Super Bowl this year. And so it's always sucks whenever it's injuries, the one thing that takes that down.
Yeah, that would be a fun
Hopefully that's not the case.
We'll talk about Rodgers here in a minute. He's a fucking disaster. We'll talk about him here in a minute with the Jets, but it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good.
So, Andy and I have been kind of going back and forth here. The race to the season, we got a couple weeks left, and the race is continuously close here. Got a chance to take some leads here. I needed to do some button mashing, and so in order to do that, I took a gamble on Carolina. So I managed to turn a couple heads, I believe. I think got a nice little nod there from Gary last week on it. But I think even Andy was like, shit, I should have done that. And, fuck you, Andy. So here we are, Carolina with a 6-point win over Arizona, and Arizona is now out of playoff contention. So, yeah, sit in the bench for the rest of the season, unlimited Call of Duty in Kyler Murray's future. And, so good win for Carolina.
Yeah, great win for Carolina. The more wins they can stack, the better. This is a team that, you don't necessarily want to be picking in the top 5, right? If you're a team at this point, if you think you've found your quarterback, I think they can win with Bryce Young. I just know for a fact that they need more around him. The O-line is good, not great. The wide receiver position is a fucking menacingly bad group of characters. They haven't figured out how to use Xavier Legette properly. I think if they can figure that out and they can add a piece, I think they could make some noise next year. I do think Bryce Young is a guy they can win with. I was really conflicted on this one. I was really tossed up on this, and this is one of the ones we threw into that crazy parlay that we were talking about last week, and this one is one that hit. We have another one later in the night that hit as well, but good win for Carolina, man. Just keep stacking wins and keep just learning how to win, because that's a very important thing for young teams. It's not easy to win in this league. So learning how to win is a real thing. And I think Carolina's starting to get there. Continue to build, win as many games as you can, get that confidence up, but also just know that you've got to put some stuff around Bryce this offseason, or you're going to waste this guy's career.
Sorry that I'm hearing sirens, so that's fun. Oh, God, take me back to
You are in
Texas.
Florida, a fucking alligator probably stole a car or something.
Oh, no, I'm right outside of the UCF campus, so it's probably somebody in a Hellcat. I hear that a lot.
Yeah. Shit.
Anyways, yeah, how many football teams have we seen do that, where you draft a young generational talent that you waste away because you don't build around it? You hate to see it.
It happens a lot, and hopefully Carolina is smarter than that.
Hopefully. Somebody needs to remind Aaron Rodgers that he's not on Netflix anymore, and it's time to play some football.
Yeah.
19-9. The Rams get a predictable victory.
Oh, we might have lost Raul. We'll pick up here. Sorry for the interruption here. I'm sure he'll be back. Oh, there he is. He's back.
I'm just back buttoned myself from my back.
I've done it.
Every time. Anyways, so a predictable victory, but not in the manner that I expected it to be. It's just I think honestly, ugly game.
Yeah, ugly game, ugly score. 19-9 is a weird score.
19-9 is super weird.
Yeah, for sure. The Jets just aren't good. Aaron Rodgers he's way beyond the back 9. He's probably on hole 18. He might even be on hole 19. It's not good. And I don't know what the future is for Aaron Rodgers, but I hope the Jets are smart enough that it's not at MetLife. I don't know where he goes. I imagine there's a franchise out there that's going to probably look at it and say, well, we've got a team that maybe he can come in and help, but he is not playing good at the quarterback position. There's been flash here, a flash there, and he continues to try to make this us against them when it comes to the media, or me against them when it comes to the media. It's such a weird fucking thing. He's almost too much of a detriment now to even believe that there's enough talent left in the tank for him to make up for that. It's just they don't seem competitive. They're just not. They're not a good football team. He's not a good quarterback.
I don't think that I don't even necessarily agree that they're not a good football team. They're an understaffed,
underachieving, sure.
Underachieving, sure, yeah. That's a great way to put it. Underachieving. Aaron is his own worst enemy, man. He's got to get if he starts focusing back on the fucking game that he gets paid to play instead of his public image, good or bad.
Yeah.
I used to love his appearances on Pat McAfee. I don't anymore. And there's something that comes with the publicity of being a heel, but be good and be a heel. Chael Sonnen in the UFC was a perfect heel because he was elite and good and could beat your ass, but you hated him.
Yeah.
So Colby Covington, prime example. It's just, not so much anymore. But
he's not all that good anymore either. So.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
But yeah, so there's plenty of examples of good heels. This is just not the look, period.
I think there is talent in the cupboard there in New York. They're going to need a full revamp of the front office. They need a new coach. And it might be time for them to like reload and draft at a quarterback. Like I just don't know what the answer is. Like, do you go try to sign Darnold? I don't think you've got
nobody's pissed at Atlanta anymore.
Right.
Everyone was like, what the hell are they thinking drafting Michael Penix? Yeah. And then all of a sudden now he's in the game. It's like, oh, thank God we drafted that guy.
Right.
You know what? Actually, on second thought, fuck Kirk Cousins' ego. We're going to do it anyways. And you know what? And Kirk Cousins still prayed with that man before the game started. It didn't matter, you know? And that's the difference in a, a paid position and a leader.
Yep.
So anyways, onward. I'll hop off of the soapbox now. Listen, I think that Andy gave you proper shit for not riding with Washington here. I think you were right to not go with Washington given the circumstances, but what a fucking game, dude. I loved every.
Yeah, it was fantastic, wow. Man.
The kid is something else, man. The kid is something else.
He's fucking special. And I remember saying earlier,
favorite player in football right now, hands down.
He's fucking so fun. I remember saying early in the season that I thought Philly and Washington would split. And then last week, the performance against New Orleans really changed my mind. I didn't think we were going to be able to really compete with Philly. I do stand on. There's a lot of Philly fans I've had conversations with over the last 48 hours, 72 hours.
Nilo,
yes, I get it. Yeah, Nilo and a couple of other folks.
Tell him I said, hey, I missed that dude.
We'll do for sure. But I get it, right? Like Jalen Hurts goes out early in this game. You're up 14-0 when he goes out. Or you're up, I think it might have been 7-0, but you end up scoring a touchdown after he goes out to go up a couple scores. And look, there was nothing dirty about the play. There's a lot of Philly fans like, they were head hunting. He was a runner at the time. He didn't go down. He didn't slide. He gets no protections, and nobody head hunted. They hit everybody on our team the same way we hit Jalen Hurts on that play, and vice versa. It's just a football play. That's all it is. I hear the Hellcat in the background now. But look, all that aside, this game was just like an unbelievable roller coaster because early in the game, I'm like, yep, okay, cool. Now we got to win one of our last two. We've got to beat Atlanta. We got to hope Atlanta doesn't win out, et cetera, to get into the playoffs. But kept chugging away, and Jaden just kept making fucking special play after special play after special play. And he threw that pick late that could have sealed the game. And thank you, Devontae Smith, for dropping that ball. However it happened, whatever. He doesn't normally drop a ball like that. Maybe it's fucking ordained in the stars or whatever, but he drops the ball, and Jaden just shakes off the previous interception, takes the team down the field without timeouts. We're in position with 10 seconds left, and I'm going to challenge anybody out there who wants to try to like understand what separates quarterbacks in the NFL. And it's anticipation and seeing windows that aren't there, throwing into windows that don't exist until they exist, right? The throw that he makes for that touchdown, Jamison Crowder is on the opposite side of Zach Bond when the ball is thrown. It's not, there's a defender between Jamison Crowder and where the ball is caught when the ball is thrown. He throws it into the window that he knows is open when Crowder gets into that window with the anticipation that, like, we only see that from the best quarterbacks in the game.
That's exactly what I was going to say. We're talking about Peyton Manning level vision.
Really, like you're seeing the window before it's there. The problem a lot of young quarterbacks have is they wait for the window to open and then they throw the ball, and the windows close so fast in the NFL. Guys are faster than you've ever seen, they're bigger than you ever seen, and they're smarter than you ever played against.
Well, in basic physics, right? The longer that ball is away, the further that throw is, the longer a defender has to get there.
Right. And he throws the ball.
Much.
It's that one. It's the throw to Terry McLaurin earlier in the game. Quinyon Mitchell is over the top of Terry McLaurin when he throws that ball, but he's got his hips turned the wrong way. Jaden knows he's got him beat, throws the ball. The touchdown against the Bengals, the one he took the shot into the mouth with. Terry McLaurin is 4 yards away from the defender when he throws the ball, but he knows he's got him beat because of where the defender is, and it ends up a touchdown to seal the game.
He also takes a shot on that shot past Crowder.
And he takes the shot. Yes,
he takes the shot. They didn't show that. They didn't show that on the replay. You show like as soon as that ball leaves his hand, defender's there. I mean, he's getting smashed. Yes. And it doesn't matter. He doesn't care. He knows it's coming. Fine. As long as you don't land on it, give me the opportunity. Give me another throw, motherfucker. You know, he will take the penalty. You can't. That is selfless. That is elite vision. That is the perfect anticipation. You understand your playbook better than most rookie quarterbacks, better than most 5-year quarterbacks. I mean, we're talking about elite level participation in the team. Jaden is special. Period.
Listen, I'm here to say I'm done being jaded. I'm over it now. Like Dan Snyder's gone. He's not coming back. And
no, it's a great team. Cliff Kingsbury doesn't belong there.
Me out of my casket.
Cliff doesn't belong there. I'll just say that. I think the team can be stronger. I think there's better options. I'll just say that.
Could be.
Because I don't want him in Dallas either, to be fair.
They've got good energy. I think Cliff's a better offensive coordinator than head coach, but I think he's going to get another head coaching job. So we'll see. I hope Dan makes the right hire to replace Cliff because he's
great for a young quarterback.
Jaden has a grip on exactly the concepts that they're trying to run, and everybody's like, it's this simple college. Then fucking stop it. They scored 30 points more times this season than they scored the last 15 fucking years combined.
Like, I'm sorry, Doug Peterson, Chip Kelly. How many fucking Urban Meyer? How many fucking quarterbacks? How many college coaches have we talked about? Matt Rule. How many have we talked about that go to the big show and they're not? They try to run that same game. Chip Kelly tried to run that fast pace fucking offense that we've known and loved. And what did that get him?
If it's so simple, stop them.
Yeah, prove it.
You can't.
No, and I
kind of love that. I got to say this last thing about Quinion Mitchell. Stay off social media, professional athletes, because he posted this stupid fucking post earlier in the week, like a daddy and his fucking kid with Terry McLaurin, because he had triple coverage help in the first game. Terry beat you on a touchdown, bub. Go fuck yourself. He had a huge day, scored a touchdown. Stay off social media, young buck.
That's wild, bro.
He had safety help on that touchdown, and they still scored. So miss me with all that shit, Quinion.
Yeah, that island's got a causeway, cuz. Terry McLaurin is the fucking ferry service. So he'll get through. Yeah, I'm not with that. You can miss me with that. Not a chance. Okay. Tennessee Titans expectedly lose here, 30-38 against Indy at home. The boys bring home 3 dubs. It's not a hook yet. But I've heard 2 just since the show has started. I'm not kidding. You can hear them. You can hear the superchargers.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know. Snooze fest of a game for me, honestly. Breeze
Anthony
past
Richardson stinks. The Colts tried to give this one away. Ho-hum. They're still in the playoff race. That's the most important thing for them out of this game. Not a whole lot. This was a fucking ugly game from 2 ugly teams. Anthony Richardson is not an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, battle of 2 shitty defenses here. We're talking about 70 points combined offense. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's probably the most they'll score all season against an opponent. Cincinnati gets the win at home, 6-24. And Cincinnati again starting to build some steam. I think I've made the reference before. This is Dom in Fast and Furious 1, timing is NOS button. And listen, Joey Burr lives his life a quarter mile at a time. Okay, and he's all about fucking family. All right, this man is the truth.
I'm gonna tell you right now, every AFC team, especially like the Bills, would end up playing them if they get in. Every AFC team is hoping that Denver wins one more game to seal up a playoff spot and keep the Bengals from getting into the playoff.
I'm sorry. I totally ruined your monologue here. My bad. But I read the comment from Poot. You're wild for this.
Yeah. Look, I think Lamar does end up winning the MVP. He's got a lot of steam growing right now. I think 2 weeks ago, everybody was like, it's over. It's Josh Allen. But Lamar is peaking. Baltimore's peaking. It's a very interesting year this year because I think personally that the voters for the MVP, they're going to have a hard time voting for Lamar Jackson this year because of last year. I think everybody realizes now that last year Lamar shouldn't have won the MVP. He just happened to be the quarterback on the team with the best record. He had a really mediocre, meh as fuck season last year. And now he's having a fucking supernova year this year. And all the conversation is now they're trying to find excuses. He doesn't play well in the playoffs. Well, it's not a playoff award. It's a regular season award. I think there's some voter fatigue with Lamar Jackson because of the fact that he won the MVP last year. Look, it doesn't have to be that you're a Ravens fan either, Pook. The numbers are the numbers. He's
numbers
having
are numbers.
Unbelievable year. He's probably going to throw for 4,000 yards and rush for 1,000 yards and have 40 total touchdowns. The unfortunate part is the fact that they gave him the MVP last year creates a narrative that people are like, he's won 2, doesn't win in the playoffs. And there's going to be a lot of storytelling about why he shouldn't win an MVP this year. When the truth is, he's much more deserving this year than he was last year. He was probably the 12th or 13th best quarterback last year. Nowhere near MVP caliber last year, but he won it because the Ravens had the best record.
That is exactly why I was laughing.
It's unfortunate that's what we've created with Lamar because he's just having a special year. I do think by the end of the season he ends up winning it because the last 2 games matter more to them than they do to Buffalo. Buffalo is going to be very vanilla, and it's going to be very easy to kind of nitpick and poke holes in Josh Allen's season. It's just what it is.
Yeah, and I'm laughing because that's exactly what they did. They painted themselves into a corner where they had no choice but to give Lamar the MVP, even though he probably didn't deserve it last year.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
it's been too long. It's been the quarterback on the team with the best record. It's not a great precedent.
100%. But anyways, back to Joey Burr, Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, look, nobody in the AFC wants the Bengals to make the playoff. You've got the dude who's probably going to win the Triple Crown for quarterbacks. You've got the dude who's going to win the Triple Crown for wide receivers, and it's a team that can fucking get on you. And they're playing a little better defense as we close the season out. Now I know it's Cleveland, but they've been better on the defensive side for the last few weeks. It's not a team anybody wants to see in the AFC. There's going to be a lot of fucking sleepless nights for defensive coordinators waiting to see if the Broncos can beat the Chiefs in Week 18 because we've got the Bengals and Broncos this week. And if the Bengals take care of business there, that Week 18 matchup between the Chiefs and Broncos means a whole lot for the Bengals and the Broncos and anybody who would have to play the Bengals in the postseason.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Cincinnati's is quiet. Is no longer quiet, but quickly becoming a real problem in the AFC, which is, after a kind of a vanilla start for them, it's good to see it. I'm excited to see it. So it's going to be a spicy AFC battle here in the coming weeks.
Yep, for sure.
Minnesota 3-point narrow victory here in Seattle, 27-24.
Yeah, hotly contested game. Darnold continues to be great. He's the biggest and for me the most pleasant surprise of the season. They are a very, very good team with not a lot of household names that people would know. I know there's Hawk, I know there's JJ, and maybe Jordan Addison, but outside of that, there's not a lot of household names on this team. They lost their best pass rusher in the offseason, and ho-hum, they went and drafted and then got an undrafted guy, and they are among the top teams in the NFL in quarterback pressure rate. This continues to just be an amazing story that's really getting overshadowed by the fact that the Lions are so fun. The Vikings literally have the same record as the Lions, and if they can, bless you, if they can pull off a win against the Packers this weekend, they got a chance to win that division in Week 18 against the Lions. So it's been a great story for Minnesota. We'll see if they can continue. Seattle is stumbling. The AFC West, it looks like it's going to be the Rams as long as they don't stumble down the stretch here. Looks like the Rams have asserted themselves in that NFC West, and they're going to win another division crown.
Yeah, definitely going to be. I mean, that NFC North battle continues to be spicy. Obviously with Detroit falling back one game, the NFC as a whole kind of shook up a little bit, gave the Eagles a better chance, a better look. But the NFC North is a spicy division, especially when we're talking about wild cards. Green Bay and Minnesota both going to have a chance here. So moving on to another button mashing, baby. And Jacksonville loses to the Raiders 14-19.
Yeah,
And I take another island victory here. And this was definitely a good example of just button mashing here. This was took a gamble. This was a bet against Jacksonville.
Yeah, this was a shit game. The Raiders just floated in the bowl longer than the Jaguars in this one.
Yeah, this was a miserable game to watch. I think I managed to suffer through a couple minutes out of each quarter and was just like, this sucks.
Ugly. Ugly football.
Definitely ugly. My button mashing continues and was unsuccessful this week as the Niners not only fall to the Dolphins, but fall out of playoff contention at this point, 17-29, and Miami moves on.
Yeah, this was kind of a coin flip game. San Francisco is just a mess. Brock Purdy is not good enough to carry a team, and when those superstars aren't playing well around him, this is a very average, mediocre team. Miami's fine. Shout out Devin Achane because that last touchdown he scored fucking ended up beating me in a semifinal matchup in fantasy. The most garbage time fucking points that have ever fucking been scored. All he had to do was take a knee and the clock was going to run out. Instead, he runs a fucking 50-yard touchdown in to eliminate me in a fantasy matchup. So shout out, bud. Appreciate you. But now the Dolphins are still barely alive in the playoffs. They need a whole lot of help, but this was just the Niners they're a mess. They're a mess.
They are a complete mess. And apologies to Andy. I didn't get a chance to get this shout out as well, but per Andy, Joe Mixon, you are a cuck and you were dead to him. He took a shit on his fantasy team just in time for the playoffs. So Joe Mixon, just in time. RIP Andy's playoff hopeful.
Yeah. Yep.
This game was, I feel like it was dead to rights. I thought going into a 2-minute drill, you have Baker Mayfield, a charged up Baker Mayfield in Dallas, ready to put a nail in this coffin with a timeout, plenty of time. I thought that this was a done deal. I'm watching this game from the hotel room, got a projector screen on the wall. I'm losing my fucking mind pacing because I knew this game was over because Baker Mayfield had a 2-minute drill and a timeout. He lives for this shit. No huddle. He wants this. This is what he has probably wanted to do. This is what he wanted out of the game. Guaranteed was for it to come close, for him to come out on top. That's what Baker does. He's an asshole. Love you, Baker. No disrespect. You're the shit. And then we get to see arguably one of the greatest defensive steals of the season.
Wild. One
of the greatest it was unbelievable control from start to finish. Lodged his arm in, got the rollout just in time. You could have almost argued that he could have had a touchdown run. Had he not, I don't know. One angle I saw felt like he wasn't actually down by contact yet because he had already fully freed the ball.
Yeah.
So, anyways, neither here nor there. Dallas gets the win, 24-26, and it's losers all around.
Yeah. I knew this was going to be a bit of a scary game because Dallas their defense is starting to play well. They're starting to turn the ball over. Micah Parsons is starting to look unblockable again. And Deron Bland, for all of the times he gets beat, much like Trevon Diggs, he's also a guy that he can turn the ball over. And that was a hell of a play. Rachaad White had 2 hands on the ball and he was able to steal it from him. Baker said it after the game, like Rashad felt bad, but he had 2 hands on the ball. There wasn't a whole lot else you can do. You're taught 2 hands on the ball, protect the ball, and Deron Bland just made a better play. Sometimes that happens. this was an interesting game. Unfortunately for Dallas fans, you just continue to ruin your draft stock, but so be it. You're also probably saving Mike McCarthy's job, which is maybe the worst possible news to come out of this game. But compete, right? Compete. You're professionals. You're going to compete down the stretch.
Unacceptable. I think I may have texted that to you guys after the game. I was like, fuck, now we just secured McCarthy for at least another year.
Yep.
Pook, do you have Jaden Daniels winning Rookie of the Year? I think that if he doesn't win, then I have a problem with the system.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, that one's pretty sealed up. They do the Rookie of the Week honor, and I believe he's won 10, if I remember correctly. It's 8 or 10.
Yeah.
When you win that award that many times, you're probably going to win Rookie of the Year. I think he's got the moments too. Like Bo Nix is having a good year. I don't want to poo-poo on what Bo Nix has done. 20, nope. He's got 20 touchdowns and 11 picks or something, and Jaden's got like 20 touchdowns and 5 picks. Jaden's got the moments. It's the Hail Mary. It's the Eagles game. It's the Bengals game. Like he's got the moments that are going to stick out in people's minds where I think he won the Rookie of the Year with those, whereas Bo Nix has gotten some counting stats in games that they were really better than the other team. So I think that those are the big reasons why I think Jaden Daniels has this thing pretty well locked up.
Yeah, 100%. I might throw hands with Goodell if he doesn't get Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to justify him not getting Rookie of the Year.
For sure. Yeah, and again, no disrespect to Bo. He's having a great season.
Oh, he's had a good year, man.
Yeah, Jaden's
this rookie class looks like it could be fucking spectacular if Caleb Williams ever gets a set out of his ass. Drake May looks good. Penix looked good in his debut. All the word out of Atlanta is that he looks tremendous in the reps that he gets, especially in camp.
I feel like the quarterback is performing as advertised for me.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams is doing exactly what the fuck I thought he did. So, I mean, I'm fucking 5 for 5 here, I think, on our quarterback class. Actually, I take that back. I didn't have faith in Drake May. So, and I'm happy to be wrong there too. It's a good look there for New England.
Yeah, just don't fuck it up, New England.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that every week for the next 5 years until they actually win a playoff game. Just don't fuck it up with Drake May.
Don't fuck it up with Drake May, because if you do, it's probably your fault.
Mm-hmm.
And the last real barn burner of a game, 0-34, Green Bay wins at home against the New Orleans Saints. To no one's surprise here, ending our week record here of Gary and Andy tied 11-5, me taking a 1-stroke victory into the week and keeping a 5-stroke lead here on the final 2 games of the season over Andy.
Yeah, this is an interesting game from a fantasy perspective. So that matchup I mentioned where Achane got that garbage time touchdown, him combined with the Packers is really what beat me. I was up 12 points going into this game Monday night, and I needed just 17 points, 14 points, just 14 points, and not a bunch of turnovers out of the Saints. They gave me 0 points and a couple of turnovers, and the Packers scored 20 points, which ended up being enough to beat me. But if Achane hadn't gotten that last touchdown, I still would have held on. What a fucking debacle of a season in that league. That's the league I keep telling you about, that I was the top scorer and had to chase a spot in the playoffs in the last week. I've had
the most points allowed.
Worst matchup luck in that league, because I'm the commissioner of that league, so it's all my fault. I didn't do playoff reseeding. The person I was playing in that matchup and me both outscored the other 2 people in the other semis. So either one of us would have won the matchup if it had been reseeded, and we would have met in the finals instead of the semifinals.
Fucking had it coming, commish.
Yep.
Had it coming.
Matchup luck, dude. Matchup luck. Terrible.
An absolute shit show.
I will say this. This is one of the leagues that Andy gave me shit at the beginning of the season because it's a salary cap league. And remember how he was busting my ass about not spending a lot of money? Yeah. I finished with the most points in the league, and I'm in the 3rd place game, but I should be in the fucking finals. So
I mean, those are efficient dollars
on one of these shows.
Those are efficient dollars spent.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if it doesn't get the dub, could you have spent more?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm just arguing on Andy's behalf here. Really.
Yeah. He needs it. He's not here to defend himself. You got
that's
it.
That's right. I'm trying. I got you, homie. I got you, big dog. I got you, big dog. Okay. Well, we wrapped the week. I think it's probably high time we get to the most important part of our show. Myself and Gary are Navy veterans. This is a veteran-owned podcast, and we dedicate every episode to a fallen service member in our Folds of Honor sponsor segment that we call our Salute to Service. This episode is going to be dedicated to Army Staff Sergeant Michael J. Sutter, who passed away December 26, 2003, serving during Operation Iraqi Freedom. He was 28 years old from Tinley Park, and he was assigned to the 745th Ordnance Company, 79th Ordnance Battalion, Army National Guard based in Grayling, Michigan. He was killed by an IED that detonated while he was trying to disarm it in Baku, Iraq. Army Staff Sergeant Michael J. Sutter. We have the watch.
Those fucking EOD and demo guys, man, they live a wild existence while they're serving. Man.
Oh boy, do they have stories.
Yeah.
Oh boy, do they have stories.
Oh boy.
So we've already gotten kind of a taste of some of this action. Appreciate you. Senior, salute always. A1 since day one. Pook, thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Thank you for your support, and thanks for tuning in. So we've already kind of made picks. These picks we've made obviously prior to the games actually happening, but obviously with the weekend, having Christmas Day games kind of fucked up our procedure here. Normally we would be airing on Thursday Night Football. So Kansas City and Pittsburgh. And Andy's on the Pittsburgh Island. So off to a great start there for Andy.
Yeah, look, I Pittsburgh being home, you could have talked me into this a little bit. I think we're starting to realize that this Pittsburgh thing was a bit of fool's gold. They're really on the decline as the season progresses here. Russ is not the savior that he was perceived as earlier in the year. I don't know that this team would be in a better spot if they had stayed with Justin Fields, but I don't think they'd be in a worse spot if they had stuck with Justin Fields. I think it's a bit of a wash just because, Russ isn't that much better in the passing game to make up for how much better Justin Fields is in the running game. So I think it's a bit of a wash when it comes to Pittsburgh. And they just weren't able to create any pressure on Mahomes. They weren't able to create turnovers. They weren't able to really stick to the receivers. Kansas City looked a bit more explosive than we've seen them be this year. They got Hollywood Brown back, and it looks like they're starting to get a little comfortable with him. This is, for all of the talk of how bad Kansas City has been this year in terms of expectation versus the way they've played, they just continue to win games. And they're starting to peak at the time that is bad for the AFC and for the NFL. So it's one of those things, man. Are we really going to see our three-peat? We fucking might. We fucking might, because they looked explosive in this game compared to previous weeks.
I feel like tinfoil hat NFL internet is going to go ballistic if they three-peat it. And there's going to be so much justified cost. The frog, dude, they're making the frogs gay. Whatever it is. It's just I just can't, dude. This is fucking Alex Jones is going to go ballistic. InfoWars is going to be lit. I mean, this is crazy. Kansas City cannot three-peat. They can't. They can't. They can't.
Feels like they might, man. Jesus.
I hate it. I hate it.
I'm sticking with my pick with Buffalo, but Jesus Christ, Kansas City just keeps winning fucking games. I can't explain it most of the time.
Yeah, hate to see it, honestly, at this point, and it's nothing against the guy. See,
Yep.
senior, look,
Yep.
it's already
Taylor
happening.
Swift.
It's already happening.
Taylor Swift. Yeah, that's it's crazy. It's crazy. It is
It really
wild
is.
how often like bad things just do not happen to the Chiefs. Like that kick return early in the game, the punt return where it's Renhikio or whatever his fucking name is, their
Oh
punt
yeah,
returner. He gets lit up and the ball bounces off a Pittsburgh defender into the hands of a Chief. Like
of
bad
course.
things just don't happen to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Because why not?
Right.
Because why not?
It's like so perfectly. It just bounced off of a Pittsburgh player to a Kansas City Chief. Like,
yeah, this is horse shit. Okay, jet fuel does not melt steel beams, baby. So okay, I'm just gonna keep making obscure references to conspiracies.
They store Patrick Mahomes at Area 51 every offseason.
Well, it's the only visitation he gets with his fucking wife. Goddamn psychopath. Anyways, 29-10. Let's move on. Andy's taking an early here. Ravens 31-2 against Houston, and this is the 31-2. You want to talk about ugly scores?
Yeah.
That's an ugly score.
Yeah. Houston wasn't prepared for this game. They really weren't. And Baltimore, I mentioned it a moment ago when we were talking about last week, but Baltimore's peaking at the right time. Lamar had another good game. Derrick Henry had a couple of touchdowns in this game. Like, they're a dangerous team. If they can stay disciplined to their game plan and not change their game plan in the postseason, they're going to be a very tough out. They should have beaten the Chiefs last year, but they really just like got out of character for themselves. I'll stand by that forever. That Baltimore should have won that game against Kansas City last year. They got so far out of character. If they can stick to their game plan and stick to their guns and maintain discipline, the problem is they get out of it. And we saw it a couple times in this game where they started to really they threw just nonsense, at the goal line trying to get Lamar another touchdown. Like, sometimes they get caught up in the hype of Lamar. We need to prove he's the best quarterback, yada, yada. Just go win games. And Baltimore's capable of winning against anybody in the league. Yeah,
100%.
Ugly game. It got ugly early and never got any better.
Right. Exactly. And next up, we have another real barn burner taking off. It's currently in the third quarter, 6-3, and Seattle's ahead. So, Gary, you're on the Chicago Island here, and rightfully so, because, well, Bears are 4th and 20, right?
Yeah. Caleb stinks. He fucking stinks.
Caleb stinks.
This was all just gut check. Seattle's not playing really good football right now.
Right.
And I just this was the blind squirrel game for me. Like, Chicago's just going to stumble on a win here against the Seattle.
I had no confident opinion about either of these here because I felt confident in Seattle more so than Chicago, but I still felt nervous because of home field advantage.
Yeah. 100% gut check. Yeah. There's no rhyme or reason why I picked Chicago.
Yeah. Well, and it looks like Seattle's got the ball here now, 4.5 left in the third, 6-3. So we'll see how that game goes. But there you go. We've got our picks in there. And we're on to the Chargers on the road in Gillette. And all three of us are riding with LA here. Nothing against Drake May here, but we've talked about Justin Herbert and his capabilities. And that team is starting to, get some dubs, collect some wins, and make a go of it.
That's what it boils down to. I just think the Chargers are a better team. I trust Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. I think the Patriots are scrappy, and they might keep this game kind of close. But in the end, I do think the Chargers are going to pull this one out.
Yeah. Chargers are -4.5 favorites. Total on offense 42.5. I'm probably taking the under here, and I'm probably taking the under here. Definitely, riding with the Chargers. Broncos Bengals.
I don't think they're going to score a ton on each other.
Yeah, I don't see that being a super high scoring game. And then again, Drake may go on a fucking ride, and it could be a boat race. Who knows? Broncos, Bengals. Bengals at home here against Broncos, and we talked about Bo Nix and the season he's had, but we've also talked about Joey Burrow and how they're full steam ahead coming into the season. They're at home. Cincinnati's a 3.5-point favorite, which I feel like I don't necessarily agree with. Total of 49.5. I feel like it's a little bit to Cincinnati, but they haven't had the brightest season all year, so I guess I'm okay with it. But I feel like that's barely over home field advantage, and the Cincinnati Bengals are a better team.
Yeah, I think that line has a lot to do with like the matchup defensively for the Bengals against the Broncos offense. Broncos can run the ball a little bit, so that could equalize things a bit. I'm with you though. I think the Bengals cover. If I were wagering, I probably will wager this game, and I probably will wager Bengals -3.5. I would expect this number to climb as we get closer to the weekend. I think it probably closes closer to 4.5. I would have guessed the number would be 5.5, but Vegas probably.
I would have taken as much as 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I think this number has a lot more to do with like, can we actually trust the Bengals defense, or are we going to get a shootout and the Bengals win 36-33 on a last minute field goal or something?
Right. Yeah, I mean, this is one I feel a lot more confident they could become a boat race pretty quickly.
Sure.
So, combined offense 49.5. I'm probably taking the over.
I think you could easily get to the over for sure. I think so.
We could see good stops, but I feel like this could likely just end up being a high-scoring game. Next up, we got the Rams at home against nothing to lose here, Cardinals. Rams -6.5 favorites here. All three of us here riding with the Rams.
Yeah, I mean the Cardinals have nothing to play for except for spoiler here over the last couple of weeks. The Rams have the division in front of them. This feels like a game that the Rams kind of just tidy up and take care of business against what feels like a fairly outmatched but scrappy Arizona team. This could be tighter than you want it to be. This could be a field goal game, something like 20-17 or something. But I do think the Rams win, and I don't know how much the Cardinals actually threaten them.
Right. Yeah, it seems like a kind of a walk-away victory here for the Rams. And so Indianapolis goes on the road to New York, and all three of us are riding here with Indy. Trying to pull up those numbers real quick. Indy's a 7.5-point favorite going into New York, and I feel like that's justified. That's probably I'm not confident to say it's a lock, but it's a good, it makes more sense than 3.5 for the Bengals.
Yeah, I don't know that I ever trust the Colts enough to call something a lock, but this feels like
exactly.
This feels like a comfortable situation where if you want to pick the Colts, you pick the Colts. I could see Jonathan Taylor having a really, really big day here against the Giants. Bijan Robinson just beat him up for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think Jonathan Taylor could have a similar day for you daily fantasy players and any of you fantasy players playing in playoff games right now. If you've got Jonathan Taylor on your team, you've got a pretty good shot.
Hundo peasy. Keep a lookout for JT. Probably going to be putting up some big points here. Next up, we got Vegas on the road in New Orleans. All three of us riding with New Orleans. Surprising, I think. I was just kind of trying to shake things up a little bit and just purely riding on home field advantage here. Real quick, Las Vegas does have that's probably why a narrow line here, -1. Yeah. New Orleans is a tough city to win in, regardless. And, that defense tends to show up and show out at home. And Las Vegas, and Vegas is seeing that themselves. Raiders are -1 favorites going into this game. So that's, you're curbing the home field advantage a little bit. That's going to be, I don't know.
Total coin flip.
I regret picking New Orleans. I'll be honest.
It's a total coin flip. The one thing that New Orleans has going for them that they might be able to do something here is Derek Carr might play. They looked really bad at the quarterback position last week against the Packers. Even still, I think that this is going to be a very strange game. Give me like a weird score. 11-9. 11-9. Saints over the Raiders. 11. That's what this game deserves. The Raiders fucked up their draft chances last week by beating the Jaguars. They got to right the ship this week and take an ugly loss against the Saints.
11-9, dude.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
All right. Damn. All right.
Give me 11-9. Looks like the Bears just scored a
11-9.
defensive touchdown.
Sick.
Yeah. Their best offense is
What a
when Caleb's on the sideline.
Hell yeah. Let's go, dude. Big D's coming through.
Yeah.
And all of us riding here with Tampa Bay at home against Carolina. And it's no disrespect to Carolina, but the Bucs are a much better poised condition. I mean, look, they've got a lot to fight for in that NFC South, and they've got to make sure that they secure a W because Atlanta's got their work cut out for them this week. So there's a chance for them to really get a good, clean stroke ahead in the NFC South, and the opportunities for that are dwindling. So just a quick look at the line. Tampa Bay is a -7.5 favorite currently with a combined of 48.5. So I don't know that I'm comfortable with 7.5.
No, me neither. I do think Tampa Bay is probably a touchdown better than Carolina, but Carolina's been playing well. They've been scrappy. This feels like a big bounce back spot for Tampa Bay. I do expect them to win. Looks like they might have wiped that touchdown for the Bears. But I expect them to win. I think this could be a one-score game, though. 24-20, something like that. So if I'm wagering, I'd probably take the points with the Panthers, but I do think Tampa Bay wins this game.
Yeah. And the Jets, maybe Aaron Rodgers remembers he has a football team and a career and things to do as a condition of his place on the New York Jets payroll. But in the meantime, we're going to ride with Buffalo to take the win home against the Jets. And I don't know what it is. -9.5. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm fucking still taking the over. We could be seeing good conservative ball from the Buffalo Bills. I still think it'll be easy to get the 9.5. But they're saying 46.5 combined. I don't think that it's that high. I mean, I'm seeing 24-10. I'm seeing 21 21-3. It's gonna be an easy victory.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me about this game is that basically now that the Chiefs have beaten the Steelers, the Bills are kind of locked into the 2 seed. So I could see this being a game where like Josh plays long enough to get reps and come out, and maybe the Jets kind of close this gap toward the end of the game, especially if they start pulling some defensive starters. 9 is a lot when you start putting in backups. I think if Kansas City had lost to Pittsburgh, I think Buffalo blows the doors off of the Jets in this game. But because Kansas City beat Pittsburgh, Buffalo might take their foot off the accelerator a little bit. We'll see. Maybe they still want to chase the MVP with Josh, but I don't know that they're going to throw a lot of creativity into this game. So that's the only thing that would worry me about that number. But yeah, Buffalo, I think, you're going to get the win here. They're going to do just enough to win, just enough to stay fresh for this stretch into the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. Green Bay goes on the road in Minnesota. This is going to be an intense game. This is, quite possibly, be the game of the week here for the NFC North. True battle here. Green Bay, and we've got a house divided. Gary is going with the Minnesota Island, and rightfully so. Vegas has you -1 favorites at home, which I feel like is kind of a slight. I feel like they deserve the clean 2.5, but Green Bay is a competitor, and this is a divisional rival. I mean, all bets are off on this one. I'm not touching this at all.
Yeah, and my dad said game of the week for sure. He agrees. This to me, this and the Atlanta game with Washington, which got flexed into the night window, are the 2 big matchups of the week. Denver, Cincinnati has some playoff implications. You could probably convince me that that's maybe in the same kind of throw them all in the palm of your hand and just love them and cherish them because they're going to be awesome games. Everybody's on Green Bay, it feels like. You two are, especially. I just want to remind everybody that in the week week 4 of the season, Minnesota went into Lambeau and beat Green Bay, and now Minnesota's at home with Green Bay coming in. I understand Green Bay's playing good football right now. But you know who else is playing really good football right now? Minnesota, and they're at home. So I'm with Minnesota. I'm with the home team. I think this is going to be a knockdown, drag out. This is going to be a bar fight. Two teams that like to run the ball to set up the pass. Two teams that can really run the ball to set up the pass. Aaron Jones is facing his old team. Josh Jacobs has been a godsend for the Packers this year as well. It's hard to lose a guy like Aaron Jones and upgrade, but it feels like the Packers have. I look at this and I think, like, man, Minnesota has done enough that people should stop, maybe disrespecting them a little bit. Give me Minnesota at home against Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a strong pick either way. This was definitely much more of a coin toss. I just have a little bit more faith in the rivalry there. The opportunity to disrupt for Green Bay is there.
Yeah.
Jacksonville on the road, or I'm sorry, Jacksonville at home hosting the Tennessee Titans. All three of us riding with Jacksonville. We're talking about two teams that are just both combined bad football.
Yeah, I won't have this one on the TV very much this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll be, outside of some red zone.
If it happens to be in one of the quad boxes on YouTube TV, I might have it up.
Yeah. I'd say, well said.
Yeah.
And next, we're on to Miami, who is on the road in cold Cleveland.
If it's in the quad box.
Yeah, exactly. Miami to take a clean sweep here for the boys. And then now we are on to Dallas on the road in Philly. And so all three of us riding with Philly here. I don't really see I haven't heard any additional news on Jalen Hurts.
I do too. So badly to be wrong about this, because that means in week 18, Washington actually has a shot at the division. We need Philly to lose to both Dallas and then the Giants in week 18. But I'll be Jim Carrey. I'll be Lloyd Christmas here for a moment. You're telling me there's a chance. So come on, Dallas. I want to be wrong about this one. God damn it.
I do want to go back to the numbers here just because I did skip over the last few. But Cowboys, Eagles here, Philly -7 favorites, combined 39.5. Jesus. I like this one. This is juicy.
They figured Dallas isn't going to score at all, huh?
This is my wager. I'm not a bettor. It's not even legal in Texas where I'm from, but this is where I'm betting.
You guys will get with the times eventually.
I'm betting on Dallas, and I'm taking the over because I have no doubt that they're going to do. There's no doubt they're going over 40. There's no doubt they're going over 40. Both of these teams are going to gun how many times? We see it with Washington. We see it with Philly. We see every time Dallas gets into, look at the Peyton Manning game from forever ago. With the Broncos, that's what they do. This is what that's going to be. This is going to be a boat race. -7 to Philly. Go fuck yourself, dude.
Cooper Rush to the moon, baby. Cooper Rush to the moon.
Give me Dallas and take the over.
They look good. Dallas has looked good lately, man.
For the sake of winning the season here on the Blitz, I'm riding with Philly.
Love it.
If I'm betting money, I'm betting on Dallas. This is the game where you're making your shmoney's.
Let's
go.
For
sure.
Let's go.
Washington at home, all three of us. This is another tough matchup, like you were talking about. Or at least playoff stake. There. I know that you said that you felt like this could be a close matchup. I don't see that being as close. Now, can Washington stop that run defense? Or can Washington stop the run? Excuse me. That's my question.
We did a good job against Barkley after Hurts went down. It's really going to depend on whether they're willing to stick their necks out and make Michael Penix beat them. We'll see what the game plan is. We did a very good job against Barkley after the first quarter. He was kind of gashing us early in that game. But, I think that's going to have to be it, right? You're going to have to stack the box. You're going to have to stop Bijan, and you're going to have to make Michael Penix go beat you. And you're going to try to trick him into a mistake or two with some exotic coverages and some different blitz packages. And that's going to be how you really hold this Atlanta offense down, because Bijan is the straw that stirs that drink. I think this has potential, and I don't know what the over-under. I didn't look at the over-under on this one yet, but it's where the hell did it go?
Sorry, hold on just a second.
47.5. I think this game could easily get into the 50s. I could see this being like a 34-24, 34-28 type game.
Washington's -4.5 favorites here at home.
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably my lock of the week.
I think
don't
that's
think
a
it's
fine
going to
number. I don't think that's super disrespectful to either team.
be.
But I'm with
No.
you. I think, if Washington is serious,
Forever.
like if they're a serious team, they win this game by like a touchdown. Like it's a 34-28 game or something like that.
I think it's one thing for Dan Quinn to have Philly's number. It's another thing to have Atlanta's. You know what I mean? Dan Quinn's
right?
been in the game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's been in the NFC East game for a while. He has Philly's number on the defensive side of it.
Sure.
That's why I felt confident about Washington against Philly. But Atlanta, I just don't think that they're prepared.
Yeah.
I don't think Atlanta's secondary is prepared for Jaden Daniels.
I think that's going to be the big thing, right? Like Atlanta's defense is gettable, and
Sure.
I think that Jaden, he's shown that he's a guy that can go get a defense. And Terry McLaurin is going to be matched up with AJ Terrell. Terry McLaurin's had 4 really good games against Atlanta in his career. I don't know that that's going to change.
Well, I feel like the overreaction for Atlanta is just going to be to triple coverage Terry, and then you do that just like everyone else tries to do, and then it just he's going to get free eventually.
Well, there's that,
and then everyone else open.
If you're going to dedicate that many resources that deep in the field, Jaden's going to fucking chew you up underneath all day. Jaden and
Exactly.
B-Rob, like our own B-Rob, like he's not going to fumble twice again. That's not going to happen.
Nope. No.
So
shouldn't have happened the first time.
Go ahead and triple cover Terry, and Jaden will just nickel and dime you with his legs.
100%. Detroit on the road, San Francisco. We're all three riding with Detroit here. Detroit is a 3.5-point favorite, which I don't think is right. And only because I think I guess you're sacrificing a couple points for home field.
Right.
So fine. But yeah, give me that all day. And I don't, and the other part of this too, random Lions news here, former, just recently this year, state champion high school football coach, and now back out of retirement, Teddy Bridgewater signs to the Detroit Lions. I love this. Yeah. This is good for football. This is good stories. This is feel good vibes. Teddy Bridgewater, high school football coach, wins a state title here in the great state of Florida, and then goes back and signs with the Detroit Lions because he promised his kids he'd go out of retirement if he did it. Fucking A, he did it. I love it. This is great football.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. This is, Josh McCown was doing this for a little while, coaching high school and playing backup quarterback for a couple of different teams, namely the Jets and I believe the Texans, when he was coaching high school and playing backup quarterback in the NFL. And then, it's really neat. Bridgewater was on the team last year, and it's a familiar face. It's an insurance policy, not an expensive insurance policy. It's a guy who knows your offense. If worst case scenario happens and Jared Goff does get hurt and have to miss time, you feel confident in a guy like Teddy Bridgewater that he can come in and play. And maybe he's just an added insurance policy for a guy like Hendon Hooker as well. I know they feel good about him, but do you trust a rookie in the playoffs, or do you want a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy Two Gloves, who's got some experience in the NFL? Great for them. This game, I feel like this has potential to be a trap game, but I don't think Detroit's going to fall into the trap. I think they're just too good, and San Francisco's too much of a mess. This could be a weird game, though. On the road, San Francisco's got nothing to play for. They're out of playoff contention. Maybe they're going to just try to play spoiler. Maybe they'll get up for a game that they're not supposed to win. But I just don't think it's going to happen. Give me Detroit in this one.
Yeah, I feel good about Detroit this week.
I
think, dude, man, I'm gonna have to fucking hit up a homie in Vegas to put in a bet on that Cowboys game because I'm thinking about it now, and I regret not picking Dallas.
You can hit up a homie in Virginia.
It's true.
We aren't.
I immediately thought I had to go to Vegas for that.
We aren't behind the times here.
We'll get with the times eventually. We'll get with the times eventually. Jesus Christ. Well, man, I think we just put a ribbon on it.
Yeah, buddy.
So, anything else? Any closing thoughts for the week, man?
It's exciting. Exciting time of year. We've got a lot of wide open playoff races, a couple divisions, a couple wild cards that are still wide open. We got Cincinnati lurking. The rest of the AFC is just like, come on, Denver, win one more, please. But
man,
it's exciting, man. It's exciting. And yeah, Dad, appreciate it. Poop, appreciate you tuning in. First time we've seen that name pop up on YouTube. But yeah, great time in the NFL, jostling for playoff position, big time races, and it's coming right down to the stretch, man.
Definitely it is. Coming down to the stretch as well in Chicago, still 6-3, 12 and a half minutes left. Seattle's got the ball on their.
Dude, they got that fumble and fucking went backwards. Like, they go backwards every goddamn time they have the ball. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Jesus, Chicago.
What a mess, dude. Both teams in absolute disarray. So you're not really missing much, but if you do tune over to Prime Video, I'm sure you'll be able to catch the rest of that fucking barn burner.
Yeah. If you hate yourself, go watch this game.
Yeah, this just in. Caleb Williams is still bad for football.
Yeah, it's fucking 10-23 on the East Coast. Caleb Williams still stinks.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in. And, of course, we'll catch you guys next week as we debrief Week 17 and we get through the rest of the picks. Is Kansas City going to keep the magic going? Are they going to run it back? Are they going to get the three-peat? I don't know. You don't even have to watch football. You just have to watch this show every week and figure it out. We'll talk about it. We'll talk plenty of shit about it. Facts only. But we appreciate all of you guys that tune in week to week. My name is Raul Herrera. I got Gary Freeze with me. We are Backyard Blitz, brought to you by Backyard Sports. We'll see you next week.